to the Talent Optimization Podcast, the go-to podcast for CEOs and HR professionals wanting to bridge the gap between the strategy and tactical implementation of talent optimization within their organizations. Through interviews, predictive index, and personal experience, your host, Tracy Shirk, helps you discover the facets of talent optimization from both a CEO and HR perspective to truly create the dream team for your organization. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Welcome to the Talent Optimization Podcast. My name is Tracy Shirk, and I'm the Chief Talent Officer here at Elevated Talent Consulting. It is November, which means we are so grateful for every single one of you as our listeners that listen in every single week to the tips, the tricks, the conversations, the laughs that we have. And with me today is a dear friend, Jamie Shibley. And Jamie is going to chat with us about gratitude and how we share that with our clients, with our staff in a really cool and meaningful way. So Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to have this conversation together.
It is. You know, we met, 5 years ago?
Yes, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. So we met 5 years ago at a networking thing and just kind of grew from there. And Jamie owns the Expressory. Jamie, do you want to tell us a little bit about what the Expressory is and how it gives gratitude?
Yeah. So the Expressory is a strategic gifting agency, and we serve business leaders by helping them really maintain a human connection in what they do. And so obviously that's important when it comes to the relationships you have with your leads or the prospects you're working with, your existing clients, and then your team, right? And all of the other relationships that support doing business. And gratitude comes into that all the time. Because you look around, right? There are any number of gratitude practices, journals. We're hearing about it all the time now because of the return in the shift in the feelings and the abundance that comes from that. So yes, it comes into play in business very strongly.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I love about what you do is that you can feel the energy behind it, and it's typically all handmade and handwritten. I remember I still have this little card that, I think it says believe on it, and it's in turquoise, and it's like 3 layers of this paper stuff, and it's beautiful. And it was one of those things that was just like this really simple, hey, thank you for connecting today. And again, that gratitude, that feeling stays with you, and that connection, even when you don't remember names or faces or anything else.
It's that emotional connection, right? And one of the reasons we focus on things that are handmade, now it's not all handmade, but like our handmade cards and things like that, is because things that are made by hand have a more lasting impact. It creates the emotional connection between us. And so you're more likely to keep it around and remember the way it made you feel.
Right. Absolutely. So I think that we would be remiss not to name some things that we're grateful for as we talk about gratitude today. So what is it that you are most grateful for?
Oh, most. Oh, man. So, and you would think.
And Jamie, if I know you well, you're going to give me 6 or 7, not just one.
I know. I've been trying to do this nightly, weekly, whatever on my own. I, of course, am grateful for this connection that has brought us together and the opportunity to be here and talk, obviously. I am grateful to be able to do the work that I do and touch people the way that, our company helps deliver these experiences, because what's been so gratifying is that we love it when we can create an experience for someone that they're so excited to give. Do you remember when you were a kid and you would make your parents their Mother's Day, Father's Day presents, or even their Christmas presents, and you would get home and darn well you were not waiting until the day of. You wanted them to open it right then, right?
Uh-huh.
That's what we want people to feel with what we propose you do from a relationship building effort. And what ends up happening is, like you said, that energy comes through. And so you're so excited. The recipient is equally as excited. So we get to see all sides of that. And as you can hear, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that I love about this, and I'm going to shift this into the employee-employer relationship here for a second. Engagement, employee engagement is so incredibly important. And when we engage our staff and know how to engage them based on what their natural kind of behavioral drives and needs are, some folks want that tap on the shoulder and the handwritten note that says, oh my gosh, thank you so much And others want the post on Instagram and LinkedIn that's public. And you know what?
Right.
Both of those are fantastic. And when you get the handwritten note and somebody posts it up on Instagram, you're like, yay,
got them all. Right, exactly. So there's a quote I came across from the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics. And it says there are two things people want more than sex and money, and that's recognition and praise, right? And gratitude is a big piece of that.
Yeah.
And so team engagement, team appreciation is a big part of what we do. And as you know, it became even more critical through and as a result of COVID, right? Because we have to find ways to keep people connected. And you probably talk about this all the time as well. What do we all want as the core of our being, right? We want to know that we matter, that people see us, and we want people to appreciate our efforts.
Right.
And we all know the number of studies that you hear about, people will go much further. There's all sorts of studies on gratitude that when you show just 10% more appreciation, you get how much more in return as a result of that.
Right.
And so that's a number we always tell people to strive for. What could you do to add just 10% more time to your week to focus on showing gratitude?
Right.
The other thing it does for you is, as a leader, it creates more clout. When you are the leader that is showing that appreciation to your team and giving that praise and recognition, you become even more of an influencer. So not only do people want to do more for you, like you are seen with more clout in the organization. And then overall, think about the culture you're creating. It is a magnetic environment.
Right.
You and I met each other through, like you said, that networking organization, and we both had a role as leaders in our various chapters. And one of the things I think that we uniquely saw was, as leaders, we always came from a place of gratitude.
Right.
And what you could see happen in that community is it attracted people, wanted to be around that. Like, I need to introduce so-and-so to this group because they need to feel this energy. Think about what it does. There's power, right?
And it's not just attracting anyone, it's attracting the right person. And it's attracting the right person, not just based on energy level, but also based on the type and what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. But that stuff flows so incredibly quickly throughout. And what I notice, at least for me, I'm sure there's studies on it, but I'm not going to quote them because I'm not that cool. So I have 2 points here, and one of them is, when we show gratitude, so much more comes back to me than what I gave. And that's just this weird thing where it's like, it's more about how can I give to someone else, but I find that it comes back so much stronger, right?
I'm reading a leadership book right now. It talks about the 12 qualities of good leaders. And that's one of the traits, is that when you show me you care, you first have to touch my heart in order to be able to serve me. And so when we show that gratitude for being in this together, it serves us, serves our entire team.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. So I'm really curious. I know we're going to talk about consistent practices, but I first want to go with inconsistent practices before we get to consistent ones.
Sure.
And so one of the things is, how do we show kind of that gratitude? Yes, we're getting into Thanksgiving, we're getting into the Christmas season, all those things. There's something about showing it heartfelt. And what I mean by inconsistency is, it doesn't always have to be the same exact letter that you write to everyone. However, that builds an incredibly consistent practice that allows you to do more at a volume.
Sure.
But there's also a way to do it to say, hey, like, what is that kind of like
that structure? Yeah.
And I know our listeners can't see what I'm doing. I'm taking my hands and I'm literally building a structure without anything coming out of my mouth.
Charades. Yes, I got you. So how do you do that? Yeah. And that's one of the things that we call it templating, right? So you said it perfectly, because we have the best of intentions and we all think, I know what time of year it is. I'm going to be the one to sit down. I can't tell you, before I started this business, I had all my little Christmas cards ready to go. It was the first year in business, and I never sent them because I was trying to get this going, right? We have the best of intentions, but sometimes things have to slide. And we usually find that things like this that we think are just a nice to have are the first thing to go. Okay.
Right.
So how do we make this easier on ourselves? Templating.
Well, I think I have Christmas cards I ordered through Shutterfly sitting in my closet from 3 years ago.
Well, hopefully they're not dated. Although
No.
the people would know that your kids are not that age anymore, right?
For sure.
Just layer
Right.
it.
So templating and actually following a structure so
Yes.
those things get out the door.
Yes. So you are exactly right that what you want to try to do is sit down beforehand and write your message. Just write it in general, get it out of your head. And what you're going to do when you're writing it, because like you said, it's great if you can have something a little bit more personalized. And so what we usually do is we leave a spot, a sentence in that template that speaks personally to you as the person I'm sending it to. So if I were to give an example of even, well, nice to meet you comes to mind. Okay, right? Hey, it was really great to meet you last week at, and then you're leaving space, but finish out the rest of the template. And it might be things like, fill in, what do I think you did really well last week when we're talking about praise? But you leave yourself, like Mad Libs, remember Mad Libs, right? You leave yourself a space to talk to something specific to the person.
So that's how you built your business. You just lived it.
Exactly. No one's ever caught that. Oh, gosh, I could have a whole line of products around this. Mad Libs.
Where's your Mad Lib card so that like when you're stuck of giving gratitude, we just pull out Jamie's Mad Lib card?
Right? I'm totally doing that. It's going to be my deck. You know, all those decks that people have now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have one of those for card writing. Thank you. We've just launched something.
We did. I can't wait. I can share it in my little things.
Yes. No, but holidays are a great time to do that. And then if you're worried about, but it's going to get lost, the clutter of everything else, well, that's fine. It doesn't have to be Christmas. It can be Thanksgiving, the month of November, gratitude, the month of gratitude. It can be a winter, make it winter themed, not Christmas. It can be New Year's, Valentine's Day, show a little love to, working with your team. There's so many unique options.
Right. And it's so interesting because so many of the clients we work with bring up anniversaries and birthdays. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh man, it's so hard to send out birthday and anniversary cards. Even though our payroll system tells us, we still forget. And I'm sitting here going, Jamie's system would link directly with that and send a note and that would be out, right?
Right. But I could tell you how they could do it too. Yeah. I mean, actually, one of my newsletters is right. I wrote this process up. What our team does, and this is how you can do it easily on your own, those are known dates.
Right.
If you blocked some time on the 15th of each month to look at what's coming up for the next month, mm-hmm. Could you have someone on your team write those out ahead of time and now they're just ready to distribute? I mean, Again, you have to systematize this. You have to automate it because it's the only way it has a chance of being consistent.
Right, for sure. And that's something that's really important is like, what does that time blocking look like in order so that you can do it? And where is that intention aligned with it? So for our podcast listeners, we've talked a lot about culture and mission, vision, values. Like really look at what are your values and how are those things aligned? You can write some of these specifically around your values and how this is aligned in one of your core values, right? So for us, it is to be fun or to be an example or to be your word. All those things can fall in directly to how you're writing those things. And like when we bring employees on, we ask them what attracted them based on our core value. And then we take those words and we put it right back into the card to them.
Oh, can I give you another tip? Because that just brought up one of my favorite gifts. So I love when I can come across examples where it's like, that is exactly what I would have done. Like, oh, they get it. You just brought up culture and values. So I talked about DIY. When you have something made by hand, it's more lasting. Another attribute of a gift that makes it lasting is if it's related to our relationship, okay? Mm-hmm. A team member coming on, you have an opportunity for a very strong relationship-based gift that will help them and set the stage for them to understand your values and your culture. If you can give a gift that symbolizes that culture. So welcome on board. Here is something that, we're all about having fun. What could that gift be? Disney. I read the book biography. I'm forgetting the man's name. He was the CIO. And he talked about that at the time they bought Pixar. Disney and Pixar, they had a little bit of a battle up front. And so they wanted to purchase Pixar, and the culture of Pixar, they felt like Disney's animation was kind of lagging and they were kind of getting older, and stale. And so Pixar made a really big deal during the contract and the negotiation that you need to understand this is what's important to us. And you ever seen a Pixar movie where the lamp goes across, right? Okay, they said, we want our lamp to be the first thing in our movies if we're going to do this. And then Disney's stuff can come behind. So when the deal went through and the presidents of the organization were together, Pixar presented him with a lamp. It said everything that they wanted to say about this is our culture, this is who we are, this is what we believe. And he took that lamp and he said he put it in the Disney castle back in their offices. So he blended those cultures and he acknowledged that our strong culture, yes, we get that too, right? Yes. So think about how something like that, what could represent your culture to really set up the relationship so strongly from the beginning?
Right. I'm recording a ton of videos for our hire program right now. So we have these creepy hands. So I know you listening cannot see this, but I think you've heard me talk about my creepy hands before. And if you've ever been to one of the engagements where I speak or I teach, or one of our clients, you probably have a creepy hand, and we have them in all colors to ensure that we have the diversity. But essentially, the look on your face right now is phenomenal. But here's the deal. Your hand is always in it in every situation and everything you do. So every one of our employees has this creepy hand. You stick your finger in it. You can do all sorts of things with the fingers that are like, hey, how are you today? Versus like, hey, not really loving you today. Like, whatever that is. But that hand is such a reminder. And every time I talk to one of our clients, and all of a sudden I'll see like the hands start to come up on the Zoom screen. So I am kind of super curious. What is, a takeaway for executives listening in today?
Well, listen, it's easy for us as executives. Like, you're so involved in the big picture, in the strategy, and everything else you have to do to run this organization. And it's really, like I mentioned earlier, easy to put aside, because of the fires that we have, we're responsible for, these little things, these personal touches in connecting with people at a human level. But it plays such a big role in your organization's growth, because even these employees can be your biggest ambassadors, and you never know what opportunities they'll bring to the table, just as a result of being seen and feeling valued. So when at all possible, build this into part of your plans, your strat plans. Like, what are you doing on the people front?
Mm-hmm. What about for HR professionals, those that, kind of handle all the people stuff every day? How can they build this into what they're doing?
Well, again, I think one of the best things, I just read about a study on swimmers. So they found that swimmers will excel when they're part of a team versus when they perform that same 100-meter alone. And what they found is that the reason is because we as individuals on a team gather strength from the support of that team. And so as an HR professional, what can you do to continue to encourage that your team is building relationships among each other? And how are you setting the example for them to express gratitude and do all of these little things that will bring that team together and make everybody stronger together? Right. So don't underestimate being intentional about that.
Love it. Love it. And where can our listeners find you?
Well, I would suggest one of the things we recently released is a guide on how to build this emotional loyalty that we've been talking about. So if you want to visit our website at the Expressory, so it's theexpressory.com/loyalty, you will find this guide and be able to download that for free. And I think it would give people, a great starting place to build a process of their own for this relationship building.
Love it. And all these links will be in our show notes as well. So Jamie, thank you so much for being here. We are so grateful for you and, grateful how our paths crossed many years ago and all the things I've learned from you and the connections and the shared connections as we kind of both grew together. So thank you.
Thank you. And I still have my employee handbook you created. We use that. Oh, it's so wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. You are welcome. So I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. I don't typically give like a, hey, go do this. Go tell one person that you're grateful for them and why. So with that, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Talent Optimization Podcast. You'll find more tools and resources for CEOs and HR professionals looking to bridge the strategies versus implementation gap of talent optimization at elevatedtalentconsulting.com. We've also created a free, valuable resource for you to begin bridging the gap called the Talent Optimization Foundation Membership Program. You can access it for free at elevatedtalentconsulting.com/foundation. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode to learn more about talent optimization and creating a dream team for your organization.